We welcome you to ACC Network Spring Football presented by Geico. Today, Kenan Stadium, it could be a wet one for the North Carolina spring game, but the weather doing nothing to dampen the excitement surrounding this program as UNC looks to take another step under Mack Brown in 2021. Hello and welcome in. Matt Schick along with former ACC quarterback E.J. Manuel. E.J., when Mack Brown was hired just a couple of seasons ago, this program was in disarray, coming off a 2-win season. Now, entering year 3 under Mack Brown, they're coming off a New Year's 6 bowl game appearance, and expectations could be even higher this time around.
Yeah, Matt, they're certainly going to be way higher this year. You're talking about the Hunters becoming the hunted now. Obviously, with their quarterback, Sam Howell, he's a generational talent. Still broke my heart a little bit that he didn't go to Florida State, but nonetheless, the Tar Heel faithfuls are so happy to have that guy. And, for him to have 68 touchdowns in his first, 2 seasons as the quarterback there, he's only going to continue to grow and do more things this year. And he's bringing back a great offensive line. So I'm excited to see what they do today.
They got a lot of key pieces to replace. We'll get to see some of those new faces today. Here is what the schedule looks like. They're going to flex for 10 minutes, otherwise known as stretching. Not as cool as it sounds. Drills for 10 minutes, 7-on-7 a little bit, and then they're going to kick off this spring game at 3:45 Eastern. That's the schedule. Mack Brown says this program is ahead of schedule in large part because of Sam Howell. What do you like about him, EJ?
Well, the biggest thing I like about Sam, he's a cool hand Luke kind of guy. You never see him get rattled. He always has his head kind of in the same area. He never looks too high and he never looks too low. And even when he makes mistakes, he bounces right back with a strike. You see him dropping dimes right here. This guy just has the ultimate confidence that you want in a quarterback. And really, he's had it from day one. He's had the moxie. He's had the understanding. And a guy that always wants to get better. After talking to the coaches yesterday, they say he wants to get his body stronger, his hip flexion. But then also these other guys, these quarterbacks, they're going to get opportunity to play. They're going to have to show out because, look, Sam Howell is one play away from those other quarterbacks playing.
Now he's working on those hips now. He's going to be working on that right arm a little bit later on. We'll see how many snaps he takes today in the spring game. More from Chapel Hill coming up. Coming back. North Carolina spring game coming up from Kenan Stadium here at Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And Mack Brown, the head coach of UNC for his second go-around here for the Tar Heels, entering year 3, joins us now. Mack, thanks so much for being with us here. And look, you didn't have a spring season last year, didn't have a spring game. How important has this spring season been for your program?
Matt, it's number one, welcome, guys, to Chapel Hill virtually. I think that's our new tour. And we have a beautiful day. I know it's a little bit of rain coming in, but it's a beautiful day. No, it's so critical. Last year we saw way too many penalties with a lot of us. We saw kicking games that were poor at the first of the year because we didn't get fundamentals. People like us that have a really young team, guys that even came in early didn't get to go through spring practice. In fact, of the scholarship guys, only 21 scholarship guys on our team had ever been through a spring game. So this was such a critical spring practice for us. We've had 14 great practices, and I don't expect anything else out of these guys today. I just love this team.
Coach, first off, I just want to say your shoes look great. Now, you're wearing them in the rain, so that goes a long way. That obviously means you're a Jordan guy. But I just want to ask you about Sam Howell. How has he grown now from year 1 to 2 and now going into year 3?
Well, EJ, they're suede shoes, so normally I wouldn't wear them. But I promised the fans they picked them for me to wear, and the equipment manager said I probably can get another pair if these get wet. So we're good. Sam's been Sam. He's been unbelievable. He keeps working to get better at what he does. So his body's better now. His hips are more flexible. He's faster. He's stronger. He's worked to get the ball out of his hands faster so we can make sure that we eliminate as many or all sacks as we possibly can. And he's been a great leader, and he knows he's about to turn over the quarterback job to one of these young ones. So he's been a coach this spring, too, and we'll see those young quarterbacks today because we need to start getting them ready for game experiences.
Max, so many coaches like to just play dumb a little bit. Hey, well, we'll see what he decides to do. You have been very transparent about his future. Why?
Well, Matt, if our guys can make money and they want to leave, we expect them to leave. And I've been doing this 32 years. We're supposed to be here for the experience of the players. We're supposed to be here for the best of the players. So if you ask Sam and he said, Coach, if I'm a number 1 pick, I'm leaving, I think he will be. I hope he will be. I want him to be. And we want him to have the best experience while he's here. But we need to have answers now with roster management. So we've asked every one of our players, are you going to stay, or are you thinking about the transfer portal if you're not a starter and could start somewhere else? And if that's the case, let us know, because you can transfer up until June 1. But we want to help you get where you want to go. But at the same time, we've got to have somebody to replace you. If you're a guy that's a senior and you're probably going to be drafted, are you going to opt out of the bowl game? If you are, we got to get somebody ready to play. We weren't in that position. And I'm not going to act like we would. Obviously, we'd want Sam back, but we don't want him back because he got hurt or he's not successful enough to get what he wants in the NFL. We want the best for our players.
Coach, obviously you're losing your 2 running backs, Javonte Williams and Michael Carter. Both are going to be high draft picks here in about a week. So just talk to us what you're expecting from these running backs and how they fared this spring.
Well, I did a show on ACC Network the other night with Coach Richt, and I got to see those 2 guys run, and I said, oh, man, were they good. You think they're good, but they're really good now. So we've got to see how much of our offense was it that spread things out and let the backs have creases. We'll see some of that today. And you're not going to replace those guys. That may be the most powerful duo in a long time at running back in college football history. But we got some good players, and you'll see them today. That's one thing we're looking for. And we may be more like we were 2 years ago at wide receiver and running back because we won't be as experienced, but we're still talented. And those guys came a long way and are great players, and we wish them good luck next week in the draft. But we lost Daz Newsome. We lost De'Ami Brown. We lost Chaz Surratt. So you can't replace those guys. What you do, have somebody step up, and it's their turn.
Mac, you got about a dozen early enrollees that are going to be on the field here today. What's your message to some of the younger guys and who you're looking forward to seeing here today?
Yeah, guys, the thing we've told the young ones, you're high school seniors. You'd be going to the prom. You'd be going to graduation. So we get it. So all we want you to do is learn how to go to college. We want you to learn in the off-season program how to take care of your body better, how to get stronger, get with a nutritionist, learn what to eat, and then learn to practice. And then you'll fight for a job in the fall. But this is their first game. I talked to Javari Ritzie this morning and saw his mom, and she said, oh, he's so excited. This is his first college game. She said he looked at him and said, Mom, I'm a college student. I thought, yeah, kind of. You're partially a college student. But this will be fun for these guys, and that's the other thing we want to see today. You guys will be marking those guys' plays, and it'll be fun to watch them.
Coach, the biggest question I have for you, you told us yesterday the guys are keeping you young. You now know what drip means, and you know how the fashion and all that kind of stuff. But any chance you break out some dance moves after the game? Because that was one of my favorite parts since you've come back to coaching. Any chance you break out some dance moves?
100% absolutely no. Sally has told me to be careful, and I said when I first started, we beat South Carolina. Nobody thought we were going to beat South Carolina. So yeah, I should dance. I promised them I would because I didn't think we were going to win. And then we beat Miami, and I thought, I guess you have to do it again, yeah. And then every time we win, they're saying dance, dance, dance. They even added music. So last year I said it better be big before I dance. We're not just going to dance every week. So now I'm talking about championships, but we did have some of the players that they jumped up and started dancing in the team meeting today. And then I challenged Coach Galloway on offense and Coach Dreblau on defense to get up and have a dance-off. And may I say that Coach Galloway killed Coach Bly. And it was really embarrassing. In fact, the players booed Dre, and that's the first time I've heard him do that. So, but I will say the quality of the competition was much better than me dancing. So, no.
Nah, Coach. You look good, Coach. You look good.
Dre Bly didn't get beat much by wide receivers, but he got beat by the wide receiver coach here in the
exactly right, man.
There you go. Mac, thanks so much. We appreciate it. Have fun out there today.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for doing the game. I look forward to all the Carolina fans having a good time today.
Absolutely. Mack Brown, head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels. No dance in the postgame today, but we're sure to have some fun here at Chapel Hill. Matt Schick along with E.J. Manuel taking a look at some recent draftees from North Carolina. Kenan Stadium, Chapel Hill, as we get set for the spring game. ACC Spring Football presented by Geico. North Carolina, of course, looking forward to a handful of guys getting drafted coming up next week. NFL draft analyst Jim Nagy joins us now. A lot of replacements coming in here. Big shoes to fill in this spring game and this upcoming football season, Jim. Let's look at some of the departures and who's going to hear their name called. Let's start at wideout. Dyami Brown and Daz Newsome. What do you see from both of those guys, and where do you see them slot?
Yeah, very similar to the running backs. They were very complimentary, which is great for this UNC offense. You know, you got Dyami, who's really explosive, electric guy down the field, can really track the football, and then you had Daz, he's kind of that Swiss Army knife guy that you can move around, do a lot of different things. Really good underneath, can separate and get open. I know that's something Sam Howell will probably miss next year. I mean, he's going to miss Dyami too. Both those guys are dynamic players for the Tar Heels. Very complimentary players. I would say Dyami's going to go somewhere day 2, probably early day 2, and Daz probably early day 3.
Jim, talk about the running backs. Obviously, Michael Carter had a good showing in his week at the Senior Bowl. So what do you think they bring to an NFL offense, and do you see them being possibly running back 1 for a particular team?
Yeah, it's a great question, EJ. First, before I even talk to him, I got to give Phil Longo, the offensive coordinator, a ton of credit here. You look at the distribution of carries last year and the numbers. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's like he was sitting up in the booth, press box, trying to get these guys an equal split. But again, complimentary guys. Javonte is really fun to watch because he's so powerful. I spent a long time in Seattle. We're around Marshawn Lynch, and just a guy that can set the tone with his physicality. So he's a really fun guy to watch on tape, and he can catch it, as we saw this year. They did such a good job of getting these guys involved in the pass game. And then, with Michael Carter, who came down here to the Senior Bowl, he made a really big jump, and I think that's great to see that late in a career. I mean, we watched Michael over the summer plenty, and he was right around where the cut line has been for the Senior Bowl the past couple of years, my first 2 years at the game. Good player, like 4th, 5th round area. And then you put on this year's tape, so much more explosive. It looked like he had a lot more juice, ripped off a lot more chunk runs this year. And again, similar to Javonte, it really showed up in the pass game as well. So Michael Carter made that nice jump. And in a year where COVID impacted these guys and their inability to be around the program and in the weight room, I think that says a lot for the guys that made that jump, because they had to be creative. They had to be self-starters. They had to find a way to get it done in an off-season where they couldn't be around their guys. And Michael did that. So now we're talking to a guy that probably was in the 4th, 5th range off his junior tape, probably all the way up to the 2nd round. He's going to be maybe in that top 5 backs that come off the board along with Javonte. I think these two guys could both go in the first 5 backs off the board.
Wow. Well, I mean, those guys were terrific last season. Javonte Williams led the nation with 75 avoided tackles. Remember that game against Miami, more than 500 rushing yards between them. Side of the ball here as we show this graphic here. Chaz Surratt, we got him at least on the big board with Todd McShay, the 2nd Tar Heel taken, 2 years on defense. That was preceded by him playing at the quarterback position. Didn't miss a beat. Looked like the defensive side was his natural spot. What did you see and what do you expect?
Such a unique player. We started watching Chaz last summer as well, and what jumped off is the closing speed and how he plays in space. He's exactly what the NFL is looking for right now in guys that are athletic enough to play in space and match up in coverage. And then really where the juice shows up is him blitzing, which we're seeing during some of these clips. To me, he's the best blitzing linebacker in this class. So a team like Pittsburgh makes a ton of sense for him. He showed up really well in coverage and the pass rush stuff here in Mobile. I think the only question is he going to take that next step instincts-wise? That he's only played 2 years on defense, as you said, so there's a little bit of question there for NFL teams. I just think it's an experience thing. The more he plays, the slower it's going to slow down for him. I think Chaz is going to be a really good pro.
Now, Jim, you knew the question was coming, and I know Sam Howell is only a rising junior, all right, but I know you're a Senior Bowl guy. But just talk to us about his prospectus as he moves forward into his 3rd year at North Carolina. I personally think he's going to be a top 10 pick whenever he decides to go into the draft. So what do you think about him when you watch the tape?
Yeah, EJ, I tend to stay away from those junior conversations, but I've talked to the guys up there in Chapel Hill on staff, and it looks like he's on track to graduate, which would make him eligible for the Senior Bowl if he graduates by December. But very talented. You know, yeah, I haven't spent too much time studying him, but obviously when you watch all these other guys on offense, you pay attention to the quarterback a little bit. But very, very talented. And the guys up there in the building in Chapel Hill rave about him. Not just the player, that he's totally the real deal on the field, but also in the building as well, and he's made of the right stuff makeup-wise. So we'll just sit back and let Sam decide what he wants to do and have a great 2021 season. And if he decides to come out and he has that diploma, we'll be ready for that at the Senior Bowl.
Jim, just generally speaking, what are those boxes a number 1 or top 10 pick that's going to be taken as a quarterback need to check from NFL execs?
Well, I think we're getting a little too stringent around right now of a guy needs to be a great athlete at the position. You know, the position's been played a long time from the pocket. It's great when you have a Russell Wilson or you have a Deshaun Watson or a Patrick Mahomes or a Josh Allen, who's behind me right now, but those guys are rare. Like, if you go looking for one of those guys, you can wait around 5-10 years to find the next one. So I think what you have to do is be able to process information and get the ball out on time and accurately. And from what I've seen of Sam, he has all those qualities. And then again, just the leadership part, the toughness part. You got to be out on the field. You got to be available. But I think we're talking way too much about athletes right now at the position. You have to have enough athleticism. You don't have to be a great athlete. And just from what I've seen of Sam, he's got more than enough athleticism.
Certainly a lot that goes into it. Jim Nagy, the NFL draft analyst. Thanks for doing this and making time for us. We appreciate it. There you saw that.
At Carolina, we are born of a different kind, an ambitious kind, a kind that is not to be underestimated. Whether we're fighting for a dream, breaking down barriers, or defying the odds, we advance because others depend on it. We prevail because it's in our nature. For all that's now, for all that's new, for all that's next, for all kind.
North Carolina spring game, minutes away here at Kenan Stadium at Chapel Hill, North Carolina. North Carolina coming off an 8-win season, their first 8-win season since 2016, back-to-back bowl game appearances. And a big reason why they had a lot of success was because of an offense that was able to put up 42 points a game. And the reason they were able to do that is because of these two guys, Michael Carter and Javonte Williams, gone to the NFL draft, EJ. They just provided so much for Sam Howell in this offense.
They really did, man. You're talking about a young quarterback in Sam, so the best thing for him to have is two great running backs to take some of that pressure off, kind of keep the DBs honest so they can stay up and near the box so they can try to come up and make tackles on these guys, but it wasn't easy to do. I think they both have an uncanny ability to have the balance when a tackler goes low on their ankles or on their knees. You talk about Michael Carter. I think he's a home run hitting kind of running back, a guy that can certainly make one guy miss or even shove off a tackle and take it to the rest of the house if it's an 80-yard gain. And then Javonte Williams, you see right there, 305 yards receiving, 22 touchdowns. And I felt like he's a guy down in the red zone or down in a short yardage goal line. He's a guy that can punch it in. To me, he reminds me of Marshawn Lynch. I wouldn't go as far as to say he's beast mode yet because I got to see him do it in the NFL, but he is certainly a guy that's going to be a running back that can play in the league for a long time. And the other cool part is they both have not a lot of carries on their bodies. I mean, that's always good with running backs, guys that haven't taken a lot of punishment. So you talk about the injury factor, they should be fine there once they get to the league.
Yeah, Carter better than 6.5 yards a tote, 3,400 career rushing yards. Javonte Williams, 22 total touchdowns, setting a single-season program record with 132 points. So there are some big shoes to fill. But, you know, you talked to Phil Longo, offensive coordinator. You talked to Mack Brown. There's a level of confidence here because of the number of guys that are going to be available to step in, including some not only young guys, but a grad transfer as well from the SEC.
Yeah, and you heard Coach Longo yesterday talk about Ty Chandler, a guy that leads the group. Coach said he loves his personality, he works hard, and he learned the offense really quickly. And for a guy that's had a lot of football in the SEC, that's a good thing to think. So once you get into ACC play, like Coach Brown said, he doesn't see him flinching or getting nervous about his opponents. He's done it at a high clip in the SEC, so he can certainly do it here against these ACC defenses.
There's Phil Longo, the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. Enjoyed our conversation with him. He's got a lot of optimism about this upcoming season. There's Ty Chandler. Looking forward to watching him today. The grad transfer from Tennessee. 5th most all-purpose yards in school history at Tennessee. We don't know if he's going to be the bell cow in this offense, but he's got a really good shot at doing that in the backfield, EJ.
He definitely does, Matt. And you heard Coach again say that it might be a situation where they win by committee at running back. You know, they're not necessarily expecting a guy to have, 25, 30 carries a game, considering you have a great quarterback to be able to throw to some good receivers. But he's certainly somebody that can take the edge off. He can also catch the ball at the backfield. I think that goes without saying. He's a good pass catcher. But he has some other running backs in the room that can make plays, too. You talk about British Brooks, and Josh Henderson, guys that played a little bit last year whenever Carter and Williams were out.
Elijah Green, DJ Jones, Caleb Hood. They're also going to have Kamaro Edmonds coming in over the summer. So that running back room is going to be loaded. Much more here as we take a look at a glimpse of the future North Carolina football. As is usually the case, the quarterbacks have received most of the pre-draft hype. And there's a handful of former Tar Heels that are also ready to hear their names called. The voice of the Tar Heels caught up with these draft hopefuls.
I have to imagine this has been something that you've been waiting for your entire life. This is what you've been working for, right, training for to get to this point. What's that excitement level for you right now?
Man, is at an all-time high right now. Been preparing this for a very long time. It's been my all-time dream. So, just being here and going through the process, it's amazing. It's a blessing.
I know the story has been beat to death, the transition from quarterback to linebacker. But what does today Chaz Surratt know that 2 years ago Chaz Surratt didn't know about being a linebacker and how to be successful at that position?
Yeah, I've learned a lot in just my 2 seasons in college. Hand placement, angles, different reads. So I've definitely gained a lot of knowledge throughout these last couple of seasons, and I think the good thing is that I have a lot more to learn, a lot more to get better at. So I'm just looking forward to my future and what that looks like in the NFL. How
do you think your time at Carolina helped prepare you now for this moment?
Oh man, I think it made it pretty much easier.
Yeah.
Just having that strength coach come in, new staff and everything, just to have the confidence in me and me building my own self-confidence, it pretty much helped me a lot, and it won't ever go away, and I thank them for that.
Why did it work so well together for you guys, you and Michael? Why did that pairing work so well?
I honestly believe Mike was like sent from heaven for me, just by the way that he helped me progress from my freshman year to my junior year. You can ask anybody. I didn't really know anything about football when I came in as a freshman. Just being the offense that we ran in high school, it wasn't nothing like college or anything like that. So honestly, just seeing him, just having to compete against him every day, it really brought the best out of me every day. And honestly, I got to thank Mike and the rest of the running back room for being the player that I am today.
So these have been such a wild couple of seasons at Carolina. A lot of turnover, a lot of change.
Definitely.
I'd just be interested in how you think your time in Chapel Hill and with Carolina has helped you get ready now for this big moment and big step in your professional life.
Yeah, like we all know, my first 2 years here, it didn't go so well. And really just to see a change, that just shows you that if you lock in and really just everybody buy in, then stuff can change in 1 year.
Carolina football as a program is in a very different spot right now than it was your first year or two.
Yeah.
I can see you smiling about it. Like, do you take pride in that you guys were the group that really turned this around?
Yeah, that means a lot. Like, it means pretty much everything. It means the most. I feel like just because when I got here, probably the year I got here, or 2 years before I got here, there was like 11-1 or 11-3, right? And then my senior year in high school, 8-5. And so when I got here, we was 3-9 and 2-9, I think. And then just like, man, like Carolina football is typically good. And then when I got here, we just wasn't able to finish these games, and just being a part of that and losing every week, like for like probably like 5, 6 consecutive weeks, 7 consecutive weeks. It could take a toll on people, but I feel like in our locker room, we just had that reset mindset every week that we can win any game at any point. So, man, at Carolina, man, I learned I met some of the most mentally tough people I've ever met in my life, and being around good people rubs off on you. So I know y'all give me a lot of credit, but I got to give a lot of credit to my teammates just because I've learned a lot from them.
Thousands, played in the NFL, returned to the Triangle after his NFL career with a business career, raised a family. And then just 6 years ago, he succumbed and passed away to cancer. And they've dedicated the inside linebackers room to his name there on campus. Brian Jacobs is a former teammate of Monk's, currently a major gift director for the Rams Club there at North Carolina. And he joins us live here from Chapel Hill. Brian, you played with him. We know what kind of player he was. What kind of person was he?
Man, guys, Matt, EJ, great to be on with you. Quincy was the epitome of what a Carolina guy is. He's hardworking, loves his teammates, loves his community. Obviously, after he left Carolina, went on to have met his beautiful wife, has 2 gorgeous kids, and he just loved life. He was a big personality, a great man, and a guy who left this earth way too soon.
Brian, talk a little bit about what it means for the Carolina family to kind of come back and donate and just kind of give these, rewards back to Quincy's memory.
Yeah, EJ, great question. And it's something that I got to give my man Corey Bailey, who is a great wide receiver here for Coach Turbrush and Coach Bunning. Corey is a guy I reached out to and presented this opportunity to raise money for Quincy, name the inside linebackers room in his honor, and it was an immediate thing that Corey wanted to take on. We have 12 of Quincy's former teammates that we went in on this 6-figure gift. It was a significant gift to be able to raise funds to honor Quincy, his legacy. And one thing I want to share, guys, is one thing that Coach Brown deeply talks about is when you're a Carolina Tar Heel, it's not a 4-year decision, it's a 40-year decision. And what a testament to Quincy, his family, and having your teammates show financially their love for you, whether you're still here on earth with us or you've moved on to the past. It's just an incredible gift, a legacy gift, and shows what the Carolina football family is all about.
The Quincy Monk inside linebacker room. They're going to have the plaque and everything going up the week of May 3rd. Looking forward to that. Brian, thanks for sharing that story with us. We appreciate it. That was great. We showed pictures of Lisa, his wife, his kids, Aiden and Naomi, Father Robert, bunch of family on hand to honor Quincy Monk. A bunch of different shoes that Mack Brown had to choose from. They voted on it. He's wearing the Air Jordan 4 Retros, the University Blue edition today. He's in the broadcast booth in the studio. He's wearing wingtips. He's raised his game. Now that he's back in coaching for his 3rd year and his 2nd go-around with North Carolina, getting set for the spring game here at Kenan Stadium in Chapel Hill. Matt Schick along with EJ Manuel. EJ, hope springs eternal, right? It's this time of year. Everyone's undefeated. Everyone's hopeful for the spring and for the fall. What do you want to see today in this spring game?
Well, the biggest thing, Matt, you want to see a clean game. You don't want to see a lot of balls on the ground. Obviously, it's wet, so you certainly don't want the balls to get wet. But also, you don't want to see a lot of turnovers. Maybe you want to see your defense create them, but for offense, that's the last thing you want. You don't want to go into the summer with a bunch of picks or fumbles because that's all the coaches are going to bring up when you see them in the training table. I also would just say you want to see these young running backs really show who they're going to be. Make your identity known today. I mean, what better time to do it now? You have a national game, and obviously everybody's going to be watching Sam Howell. So these other guys around Sam, bring your impact, allow yourself and your name to be known.
You're going to have about 10,000 fans in the stands as well. Looking forward to seeing this contest today. Again, it's going to be a little unorthodox. The team scoring is by the end zone they scoring in. So is it the Tar Heels end zone, you get Tar Heels points. If it's the Carolina end zone, it's Carolina points. Offense in blue, defense in white, no clock. It's series-based, no punting, no kickoffs. That's the way football should be, right? They're going to do field goals, extra points, could be from the 30 to 40-yard range. Will only count as a point. So we're going to have some fun here today. We will see Sam Howell. We don't know how long we'll see him, but he's a great player, but there are some things to work on, EJ.
Yeah, and Matt, there's always things to work on. You know, I went back and watched the Texas A&M tape. Right here, you're going to see a missed throw, and I really think Sam was probably throwing this one away. But had Sam got this ball off a hitch or two sooner, I think he can certainly make that throw. I've seen him do it before. Now, this next one, you talk about the footwork, and Jim Nagy kind of hit it. You know, Sam sometimes gets back in the pocket and he hops around. He's going to take 3 hitches on a really simple stop route in the slot. Would have been an easy first down conversion there for Carolina to continue to try to get a touchdown. But this is what he does great, Matt. He ad-libs. He gets out the pocket, and you're going to see him direct Josh Downs here all the way down the field for a huge bomb, and this is what he brings. I mean, this is why this guy's thrown 68 touchdowns in his first 2 seasons. The cool part is Coach Longo is completely fine with the way that Sam plays as far as his footwork. But these 5 players, Tony Grimes, the kid from Virginia Beach, Virginia, my hometown, actually reclassified and came out of high school early, played last year, and did a great job. I talked to a Texas A&M coach, and he loved that guy. He said he's a future superstar. Now, Ray Vahasik, I think he's a nasty, gritty defensive lineman. That's what you want in your D-line. You kind of set the tone there at nose guard. Emory Simmons, I think he's a guy that can make big plays. You talk about those 50-50 balls. With Emory Simmons, I think it'd become an 80-20 catch opportunity. Now, Ty Chandler, we talked about him earlier, coming over from Tennessee, top 5 in all-purpose yards, so that means he can do everything. He can run, he can catch. And Garrett Walston, again, talking to Coach Phil Longo yesterday, he says he wants his tight ends to have at least 400 or 500 yards receiving so they can respect him. And I think Garrett's that guy that can certainly do it for this offense.
Yeah, there are plenty of touches that were vacated and yards that were vacated on offense last year with guys going to the NFL, as we mentioned. We'll see if the tight end spot gets a little more attention coming up this season. Going back to last season again, 8 wins, ranked 13th in the final college football playoff poll. Played in a major bowl game for the first time since 1950. And when they lost to Texas A&M, they're in the Orange Bowl. It's funny, EJ, we talked to Phil Longo about, hey, when he stepped in, said, look, from year 1 to year 2, I think we can increase 100 yards a game, 10 points a game, and they pretty much did. And then Max said, all right, well, what about between years 2 and 3 here? And there's kind of a running joke. You set the expectations pretty high early and you met them, but the expectations are only going up from here, even with an offense that put up 42 a game last year.
And look, Coach Brown hit it head on, Matt. He said he wants the expectations to be high. He wants the Carolina faithful and those fans at home to be upset when they lose games, especially games they're supposed to win. And look, that's how you create a winning atmosphere, a winning program. And again, talking about the offense with, 4 guys going on to the NFL, that's about 4,000 yards of production that they're losing. So Coach Longo said, we're not going to change the scheme. We're just going to change the emphasis. We might have to run the ball by committee, have 2 or 3 running backs go out there and be the bell cows instead of those 2 last year. And then obviously that receiver, who's going to step up and be the big play receiver that Sam Howell had for the past 2 seasons.
Going to be a great opportunity today to see some of these new faces that will be splashing on college football Saturdays coming up in the fall as we get a little bit more closer to normal here in 2021. There you see a look at Sam Howell, Phil Longo, the offensive coordinator. We'll see how much Sam Howell plays here. Could be series-based, maybe 2, maybe 3 series here. Depends on the number of plays per series, but we shall see. Again, offense in blue, defense in white. And we're about to get underway here with Sam Howell. You can hear some of the rain drizzling. It's been kind of a wet day in the state of North Carolina. The fake handoff, and now going deep down the right side, and that one is in and out of the hands of his intended receiver, Josh Downs, who really splashed onto the scene last season and took advantage of some early departures in that bowl game and had a couple of touchdowns against A&M.
He did, Matt, and to me, I love the way that Coach Longo used him. He lined him up in the backfield sometimes, would motion him out, let him get in the slot, and that creates a mismatch with the safety, and that's exactly what happened in that Texas A&M game, so I know he'll get that ball back and get another opportunity.
Ty Chandler to his left does get the handoff, the grad transfer from Tennessee. With a few yards there. He can do it all. He's fast. He can catch. We mentioned the top 5 all-purpose yards there for Tennessee during his time there. And he comes over to North Carolina with some big shoes to fill, and he might be the guy to fill them.
on the tackle.
Yeah, he certainly can be the guy to fill it. I mean, you talk about a guy that's battle-tested in the SEC, and though the ACC has some great defenses, we know the SEC has some really good ones too.
3rd down and 5 here from the 39. Howell under some pressure, and he's not going to be brought down, but he is sacked. That will go as a sack. That is Des Evans, the sophomore out of Sanford, North Carolina, Lee County High School. Played about 180 snaps last year. They thought he was ready. He was kind of ready, but he's going to be ready coming up in his sophomore season.
Yeah, and Matt, look, this guy's a former 5-star athlete. So, I mean, look, they have 4- and 5-star guys all over the field. It's really good. You don't want your right tackle to get beat, but look, this is Carolina versus Carolina right here. So if you can get your DNs getting out there, getting active against the quarterback, that's going to be a great thing.
Love what Coach Bateman said. I have high opinion of what he'll be for us in the next couple of seasons. One of those top recruits, not only top recruit, but top in-state recruits, which has been a huge deal for this under Mack Brown. So now we get a chance to look at Jacoby Criswell. That competition for the backup quarterback job. It hands off to Caleb Hood, the freshman out of Rockingham, North Carolina, Richmond Senior High School. Another one of those young running backs, gain of 12, going to have an opportunity here this fall.
Yeah, he did a great job of hitting the hole, bounced around, nice little jump cut. I'm going to tell you what, Matt, this guy doesn't look like a freshman. This guy looks like he might be a junior or a senior body-wise, and that's exactly what the coaches said. He's 5'11", 230, a guy that played quarterback in high school, so we know he's good with the football in his hands.
3 prep seasons, 6,300 passing yards, 59 touchdowns. Criswell, though, with the keeper across the 50. They'll blow that whistle there. As the sophomore out of Arkansas with the carry, give him a gain of 8. And this is essentially his first spring as well, after missing last spring with, as most schools did, with COVID.
Yeah, and Coach Longo spoke extremely high about Jacoby Criswell. He said he was actually recruiting him at Ole Miss, and he was able to get him over at UNC once he got the job here.
There's Criswell with Hood to his left. Criswell over the middle, nearly caught, but dropped. Caleb Hood out of the backfield. And that'll bring up a 3rd down. 3rd down and 3. Jacoby Criswell, Gatorade Player of the Year in Arkansas. Go ahead, EJ.
With the rain, I think what a better time to practice this. Obviously, you don't want rain in the regular season, but these guys are going to have to practice catching the football in wet conditions.
Criswell under some pressure, and that'll go down as a sack as well. And give that one to Kadri Jackson, the junior out of Windermere, Florida. Mack Brown's team will take a quick break. Defense showing itself here in the early going of the spring game. Softball coming your way on Sunday. Florida State and Louisville. ACC Network also streaming live on the ESPN app. Also streaming live right now. The spring game. North Carolina in Chapel Hill. We saw E.J. Manuel, the defense, coming up big in those first couple of series with 2 sacks, both coming on 3rd down. Des Evans and Kadri Jackson. And Mack Brown, Jay Bateman both like what they have in terms of able bodies and depth coming in the defensive line.
Yeah, depth was the big key word that the coaches brought up in our production meeting yesterday. You obviously saw it right there with Evans and Jackson pretty much coming up with 2 sacks apiece right here. So the offense wants to clean that up. You got to get the O-line to go ahead and start redirecting and pick up some of these blitz packages.
Sam Howell is complete there to Antoine Green. Great to see him back, the senior out of Rockledge High School in Florida. Had that severe leg injury as a freshman at Syracuse. Broke his leg. Back. He's been healthy for a couple years, but just getting back maybe to what they thought he could be. Gain of 12 there. That's DJ Jones on the carry, the sophomore out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. Second down and 6 coming up here for Sam Howell and this North Carolina offense. DJ Jones remains in the backfield, takes the handoff and stopped right at the line of scrimmage. Jahvaree Ritzie, the freshman. We talked to Mack Brown before the game. He said he was all fired up before the game for what is technically his first college game.
Yeah, and Jahvaree Ritzie is actually a teammate of Ra Dilworth. So these two guys, the coaches lit up when we asked about him. They said he was probably the most impactful and actually most improved player throughout the spring. So it's really good to see him get in there and get a quick tackle for loss.
Howell looking deep. That one intended for Antoine Green, but we do have some flags on the play. Back to that previous play. Just this opportunity for some of these young guys to get in there. Ritzie, one of those 12 early enrollees, making his presence known early. It was a shot put in high school as well, and he was fired up to go today. One of the top defensive ends in the class of 2021.
Yeah, to remember, Coach Bateman was just so excited about having depth at the defensive line position because that allows him to do more, bring more blitz packages, sub guys out, and keep them fresh.
That one intended for Green. You saw defensive back contesting there. There's certainly a lot of confidence in this secondary as well in terms of the amount of depth, EJ, that they're going to be able to provide. A lot of interchangeable parts here for Jay Bateman's defense.
Yeah, a ton of interchangeable parts. Guys that really are young, didn't get a lot of experience last year, but certainly could fill in if those starters either go down with an injury or they're just simply tired. Good stop.
Jones on the carry and stopped right up the middle on a 4th down play, and he's not going to get it.
Yeah, and in a spring game, you just want to get into a rhythm offensively, and sometimes it's so hard to do because, I'll be honest, the defense knows your calls. You've been practicing against them 13, 14 times the past, 4 weeks? So, obviously the defense should have the leg up, but I do think eventually we'll see a big play for this offense.
Cameron Kelly, 55 tackles last year. Had a forced fumble, started 5 games last year. Transferred from Auburn a couple of seasons ago. So 3 possessions, a couple of first downs here for the offense. And now we get a chance to see quarterback Drake Maye, freshman out of Myers Park High School in Charlotte, North Carolina. Top 10 pocket passer quarterback, top 50 prospect in his recruiting class. Here's Drake Maye going down the right side. That one incomplete, intended for fellow freshman Kobe Paysor. On the play there, Jaquarius Conley.
Yeah, and Drake Maye is a big-time recruit, 6'5", 220. Obviously will fill in his frame as he continues to grow and get older there as a quarterback at Carolina. His father actually played football at Carolina, and his brother, we all know, Luke Maye, basketball, the big shot champ, had him on our show and in play. So it's pretty cool to see this guy get his opportunity today.
Yeah, his brother Cole won a national championship at Florida in baseball, so maybe Drake will be able to do that as well here at North Carolina. On the carry is Josh Henderson. Again, these running backs coming at you in waves. That's a gain of 6 for the Tar Heels. Josh Henderson, just 18 carries last year, but let's bring some leadership to that running back room along with British Brooks.
Certainly brings some leadership, Matt. I mean, this guy, when his number was called, he comes in and he does a great job. Always good to have a young quarterback in with a veteran running back as well.
It's made to his tight end, Kamari Morales. Mentioned perhaps the importance of the tight end position this year. Minimal gain. That'll bring up a 4th down. We'll see what Mack Brown decides to do. 4th down and 2. If you don't get it, this ball goes over to Carolina. So
it's a win-win, Matt. It's a win-win.
Big one. Drake Maye on 4th down and 2.
Nice.
And the handoff, and he has the 1st down. And that is to the aforementioned Josh Henderson.
Yeah, and look, you're going to see the offensive line do a great job. Big 52, Jonathan Adorno, coming out and kicking out the linebacker right there, pretty much opening that hole up for Josh Henderson to go out and get the first down on 4th.
You mentioned that offensive line. Everybody's back from last year. Just the continuity on that unit is going to work wonders here for this team. Henderson working his way up the middle. And Josh Henderson with a gain of 10, another first down.
And once again, Matt, watch the offensive lineman, 54, Chance Carroll, doing a great job of kicking out the linebackers. And look, that's really what Coach Longo's run game is based off of. Agile linemen that can come off and run gap schemes and do a great job of zone blocking.
Henderson again working his way, minimal gain. He's got 3 carries for 24 yards. Now it's 4 for 27. But that offensive line, we talked to Coach Longo. He said, look, we've got 7 or 8 guys and other guys that could fight for that number 9 spot. So just that depth on the O-line. You never know when injuries are going to come up. Guys need a blow. And they certainly have some depth on that unit. Here's Drake May tucking it. Not going to hit him there inside the 5, but give him the first down.
That's a first down. And I'll tell Drake firsthand right there, you might want to slide maybe 2 steps earlier. But, again, talk about the offensive line. The pass rush just simply can't get there for the defense yet. And I think a lot of times we talk about the skill players, the running backs, the receivers, but that O-line needs a lot of love. They're doing a great job here early.
Drake May with a gain of 11. Top 50 overall prospect in his recruiting class. Here's Henderson again, stopped near the line of scrimmage, and that's Eugene Asante, the junior out of Virginia Westfield High School, who really had starter talent the whole time, but just wasn't able to get on the field, but did start in that Orange Bowl, lost to Texas A&M after Chaz Surratt decided to head and get ready for his NFL draft prep. Now Josh Henderson getting ready for a touchdown celebration. Touchdown, Carolina. It's Josh Henderson.
And again, a great job by the offensive line. I can't talk about them enough. You got to give the big uglies up front some love because they're opening up these holes for these running backs. So just kind of have an easy walk-in touchdown there by Josh Henderson. Great job him capping off that really, really good drive.
Josh Henderson, 6 carries, 33 yards, and a 6-yard touchdown run. There to cap off the drive. And Noah Burnett. Opportunity here to split the uprights, and he won't want to watch that replay. That one goes awry, but 9 plays, 47 yards. Couple of offensive series that went awry because of some good defensive play. The offense high scoring last year, looking for more in 2021. Tomorrow afternoon, what a great men's lacrosse matchup we've got for you right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app. Number 2, Notre Dame takes on number 4, North Carolina. Right here at Kenan Stadium, Chapel Hill. Coverage starts at 2 Eastern. Well, right on this very field at Kenan Stadium, we saw a nice drive, 9 plays, 7 runs, 6 of them by Henderson, EJ.
Yeah, and look, Henderson did a great job running behind his pads and just kind of taking what was there. The offensive line obviously opened up those holes for him to get north and south right now. But again, this jump cut, getting out of the gap, taking it in for a touchdown. Great job by him.
6-yard touchdown run there for Josh Henderson. Howell going deep down the near sidelines, got his man, nice. And it is Josh Downs for the big play, the long gain. And we saw glimpses of that last year, late last year, in that Orange Bowl. Gain of 46.
Yes, we did. And again, you're going to see Sam do a great job of disguising with his eyes. He looks to the left, gets the safety out of the way, and drops a complete dime there to Josh Downs. Great job of concentrating, 2 hands on the football, securing that catch right there for a big gain.
There's Ty Chandler up the middle for gain of a few yards. But Josh Downs last season had 7 catches. 4 of them coming in that Orange Bowl. And talking to Phil Longo, said, look, we found him in the Orange Bowl. It's tough to see Some folks opt out, but he got an opportunity, and Antoine Green might be having an opportunity this year as well. That's a touchdown for North Carolina as Howell hooks up with his wideout, the senior Antoine Green.
Just like that, Matt. You saw the footwork again with the ride on the fake and the RPO, and a perfectly placed football there for Antoine Green. Just to stick your hands out there and bring in a nice touchdown pass. Great job by Sam Howell scoring and answering real quick on this series.
Saying he's one of the most improved players here in this spring. Everyone missed out on spring last year. Remember, Green had that horrific leg injury on the field at the Carrier Dome at Syracuse his freshman year. Looked like he might be breaking out to a great freshman season. And then that was a terrible setback, but now he's going to be one of the go-to guys coming up this season as Grayson Atkins puts that one through. 3 plays, 66 yards. Had that long pass play to Downs and then the touchdown to Green.
I've always been told, Matt, whenever you have one big play, it usually leads to another one. Why not take another shot? And again, Antoine Green did a great job of getting that left foot in, the concentration on the sideline, a perfectly placed football there by the big-time quarterback, Sam Howell.
6'2", 210-pound senior. Looking to cap off what has certainly been an up-and-down career. The down because of the injury, but more ups in his future coming up in 2021.
Yeah, Matt, and he's going to get a lot of opportunities. Actually, all these receivers are. You don't have Bo Corrales playing. You don't have Shoffrey Brown playing. Those are also home run hitters. But these guys right here, they're going to take full advantage of these opportunities that they're getting today.
Little pitch there to Elijah Green, the redshirt freshman out of Roswell, Georgia. They call him the fastest running back in the room. And if the last name sounds familiar, well, there are a lot of Greens. A lot of people with the last name Green. But Victor Green, his father spent 10 years in the NFL as a defensive back, predominantly for the New York Jets. There's Green again.
Yeah, and this is such great practice, not just for the offense, but for the defense. Talking with Coach yesterday, they didn't do any tackling drills. Obviously, want to keep everybody upright. Don't want any injuries during the spring. That's the last thing you want going into summer practice. But the defense is going to have to do a better job of coming up and making tackles. And they're going to certainly do that today.
Jacoby Criswell after the first down. He was touched and the finger in the air from Asante saying, yep, give me that sack. I know I can't bring down my teammate, but give it to me there. He is going to be a name that you are going to hear called time and time again, TFL for a loss of 7.
And you know what? That's a great opportunity for tape when they get back in the film room. 21, Elijah Green, he has to see that. And even though he has the RPO fake, you got to come off that fake and just pick up Asante right there on the fire and blitz. You got to give your quarterback an opportunity to get the ball off.
Sack for a loss of 7 for Asante. Saw Blackwell there in motion. Here's Green with the handoff. Tackle on the play there by Jaquarius Conley. Came up from the back end, give him a gain of 7.
And just speaking on Conley, Matt, I went back and watched Notre Dame. I went back and watched Texas A&M. Conley will come up and hit you. That guy has no fear. He will put his helmet right in your chin the legal way and take you down with a big tackle. Great job by him right there.
Was working at safety. Plays nickel, trying to get all their athletes on the field at the same time. You saw Criswell under duress, had to flip that one off in the flat to Green, but nothing doing. As there's that man, Eugene Asante again. That's a loss of 4.
Yeah, and so many great coaching moments here. And what Criswell is going to learn is when you see a linebacker right there with nobody to block him, your running back's on the right side, you know you got a screen to the right. So you might either check a play or you might just try to tell your running back, hey, quicken up so I can get the ball out my hand so we don't have a sack here on 3rd down.
Mentioned Asante got his first start in the Orange Bowl last year after Chaz Surratt decided to opt out and get ready for his draft preparations. Wound up leading the team in tackles, career high 10 tackles there in that Orange Bowl. And talking to the coach, they said, look, he had starter talent the whole time. In fact, he was probably better at his position than maybe some of our other guys at their respective positions. Tried to work him in there on the field, played nickel at Virginia Tech, just wasn't working out. Now he's at his natural spot, and you're certainly going to hear his name called a lot coming up this fall. Sam Howell again, directing the offense after that touchdown to Green. This one in and out of the hands to Antoine Green this time. Good defense there on that play. Be interested to see how many more snaps we get out of Sam Howell. You mentioned just wanting to leave healthy, and we've already seen enough from him over his first couple of seasons in what could be his last season with the Tar Heels.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if this is his last series, especially if he caps it off with a touchdown. But, Matt, I just want to go back to Eugene Asante. His career high in tackles was 10 versus Texas A&M in that Orange Bowl game. We got another bomb right here. Oh, great catch.
That one is caught down the sideline. That's Emery Simmons, one of the guys that you said we got to pay attention to this season. And in this game, that's a gain of 44. A couple of big pass plays there, one to Downs and one to Simmons.
Yeah, I love the fact that they're just taking shots down the field. Sam knows he's not going to play long, so let me throw some bombs out here first, Coach. Again, Emery Simmons going up and apexing that football, really taking it from his own teammate right there. But, hey, as long as one of you guys catches it, it's good for the offense.
Simmons getting better methodically every single day in practice, according to Phil Longo. A couple of pass plays of longer than 40 yards from the right arm of Sam Howell so far. DJ Jones with a minimal gain there, bringing up 2nd down and 7. But you lose a Daz Newsome, you lose a Dyami Brown, and you wonder, okay, who picks up the slack? But there's so much confidence there that, look, there's a lot of depth in this room. You might not have a first round or second round talent sitting there right now, but they could be. There's just plenty of bodies there to absorb some of that lost production.
Yeah, I mean, Matt, they just need opportunities. I mean, when you lose those two great receivers in Brown and Daz Newsome, these younger guys are going to lick their chops and get these opportunities, especially here early in this game today, because this is the time to do it. You know, coach is going to watch this tape for the next 2 months, 3 months going into August, so you better put some good stuff out there.
Just look at Emery Simmons, the junior out of Parkton, North Carolina, Southview High School. Had an incredible receiving touchdown against Notre Dame late in the season. It was number 2 in the SportsCenter top 10. Elevated to get a ball in the back of the end zone. Here's Howell on 3rd down and 9, trying to evade his teammates and find another one, but out of bounds. And that'll bring up 4th down. Throwing the ball away, EJ, something that the coaches have talked to him about. They know he's a tough guy, might be the toughest guy on the team, but he doesn't need to prove it with his health in mind.
Yeah, and again, Des Evans doing a great job of applying pressure, getting Sam off his spot, out of the pocket. And when Sam does break the pocket, I talked to Coach Brown about it yesterday, he has to make good business decisions as far as taking care of his body, because the last thing that this Carolina team needs is him to hurt an ankle, a shoulder, an elbow. They need him healthy. So the best thing for him to do sometimes is to chuck that ball into the 2nd row and move on to the next play.
Well, see where he chucks this ball here on 4th down and 9. That one a little high, but a flag on the play, as we might get a little handsy flag here from Ladason DeAndre Hollins, who was in coverage. Ball placed at the spot. 1st down here for Sam Howell. See if he can end what could be his final drive in this spring game with a touchdown.
Yeah, and look, that's a PI right there by Day-Day DeAndre Hollins, but I'm not mad at it. I think if you want to be aggressive, this is the time to do it. You know, why not try everything? And, you know, I was always proud of myself in the spring, man. Let's try stuff. You know, if we haven't done it in the season, let's give it a try now. We get a penalty, we move on, we learn from it.
And off that's DJ Jones around the left side, trying to fight his way to the goal line. Comes up about a yard shy as the rain now falling a little more heavily now. Here's a look at DJ Jones.
And look, Matt, the first time DJ Jones gets touched is about 4 yards down the field. A great job by the slot receiver, blocking man on, and also Kamari Morales doing a great job of blocking too. That's just about attitude and want to as he runs in there for a touchdown.
DJ Jones had the 1-2 to find the end zone, and does. 11 carries last year, a few carries here in this spring game, and a touchdown.
I'll tell you what, Matt, somebody lit a fire in this offensive line in this tight end group, because these guys are doing a great job, the ones and the twos, a great job of blocking downhill, zone blocking, running their feet, getting that defense out the way.
DJ Jones was unavailable in that Orange Bowl game, had foot surgery leading up to it. He's healthy now. And North Carolina, after no touchdowns, their first 3 drives, the offense has been able to find the end zone 3 times in their last 4 drives. It's Grayson Atkins in for this long extra point. That one is through the rain and through the uprights. And give it to the Tar Heels. You don't hear this much. Tar Heels leads Carolina 14-6. Again, Sam Howell doing it with his right arm, EJ.
Doing a great job, airing it out. That's what he's been doing since he's been at Carolina, continuing that today.
If your credit card debt is out of control, if you're in over your head in monthly payments, there's a secret the credit card companies don't want you to know. If you have more than $10,000 in credit card debt, you have the right to let us settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. That's bad news for the credit card companies, but it's great news for you. We're Credit Associates, and we're offering you free information on how to completely resolve your credit card debt with a monthly payment you can afford. To see how much you could save, call now. 1-800-976-9539. Don't declare bankruptcy. Don't consolidate. Give us 10 minutes and we could save you thousands. After all, we depend on your success and offer a guarantee so there's no risk to call. Credit Associates. Live better, debt-free. Find out how easy it is by calling now. For the secret the credit card companies don't want you to know, call Credit Associates now and see how much money you could save for free. Call 1-800-976-9539.
Selling your house is hard. From prep to open houses to hoping for offers. But what if you could sell your house in just a few days with no hassle? Now you can with Simple Sale from HomeLight. Just answer a few quick questions about your house. We'll collect offers from our network of cash buyers and introduce you to the highest bidder. Now, selling is simple. To see your Simple Sale price, go to homelight.com/simple today.
The Huddle Crew is back tomorrow night. Their spring review show. Kelsey Riggs hosts along with Mark Riggs, Eric McLean, and some guy named DJ Manuel. They'll break down all the storylines coming out of the ACC spring practices and games. 1 hour special starts 7 Eastern on the ACC network and the ESPN app. Sam Howell, by the way, 5 of 9, 105 yards passing and a touchdown. None of them to Beau Corrales. Beau Corrales out today. One of a bunch of guys not playing today, either because they're being held out because of a coach's decision, don't want to get him hurt, or they're unavailable because of injuries. You look at some of those names, there are going to be a lot of contributors. Storm Duck has been dealing with a lower body injury since last season. They hope he'll be ready to go. Joffrey Brown, the younger brother of De'Ami Brown, and Beau Corrales, who had a decision to make going into last season. Do I play through the injury or do I have surgery? Tried to play through his sports hernia and his lower abdomen. Missed 7 of his final 8 games. They hope he'll be ready to go and believe he will be this summer and into the fall. He's going to be a go-to guy for Sam Howell.
Yes, he is, Matt. And I think that should give Sam a lot of confidence having Beau Corrales back. I think he was that third piece to what you had in De'Ami Brown and Daz Newsome in that 2019 season. Came up with 40 catches for 575 yards. But to me, he's a one-on-one mismatch because he's 6'3", he's 210. And most of these DBs can't handle guys like that. They try to put their hands on him, but I thought he did a great job 2 years ago.
Drake May standing up into the pocket, finding his teammate Justin Olson, the sophomore. Is he in? No, he's not. Olson trying to point to the side. Look, there's my foot. There's where I stepped. We'll see if the replay confirms his suspicions. But a nice ball there from May.
Yeah, well, look, Matt, I don't know if we have a red flag in a spring game, but I think I'll throw it right here. I think he got, let's see. No, I don't think he got it in. He didn't get it in, but great effort right there. And, again, that's what the coaches wanted to see. They wanted to see effort. They wanted to see guys finish plays. So, again, Justin Olson going out there. I'm sure he'll get another opportunity. Drake May hanging that ball out there for him.
Played in 7 games last year, did not record a catch. Nearly had one here in the spring game. 14-6 is your score. Here's Drake May again. He's got mobility. For a guy who's 6'5", he can scoot near EJ.
Yes, he can. And look, as a young quarterback, you just don't want to make the bonehead mistakes. You don't want to try to force balls in there, try to start seeing ghosts, because that's where the coaches are going to start not to be able to trust you. As long as you don't turn the ball over and, when you see things open up in the offensive line, you take off and get what you can. You get down, you protect your body. Coaches are never going to be upset with that. In fact, that's a great play by a young quarterback.
Mack Brown saying Drake Maye's kind of playing like Sam did his first spring. Making some freshman mistakes, some high school mistakes, and will certainly be more acclimated come the fall, as a bunch of these guys vying for that backup quarterback role behind Sam Howell. Here's Caleb Hood on the handoff, breaks a tackle, and does scoot across on that 4th down for the first down, gain of 7.
Yeah, and this is going to be a hard tackle that you want to see 17 come up here and make that tackle, Chris Collins. But again, especially on 4th and 3, understanding the down and distance, Caleb Hood does a great job of getting his body and center of gravity low, keeps his hand on the dirt, and picks up enough for a first down conversion.
3 receivers set here for Drake Maye. Hood again with the handoff, bottled up there at the line of scrimmage. Bunch of guys there in on that play. In terms of Kalen Rucker, sophomore out of Hartwell, Georgia, guy who's going to be counted on as well.
Yeah, Kalen did a great job. They called on him a lot last year. Came up with 21 tackles, 3 for loss, and good job of filling the gap, getting the running back down, moving on to the 2nd down here.
2nd down and 9 for quarterback Drake Maye and this offense. Touchdown run from Josh Henderson, a touchdown pass from Sam Howell, and now Caleb Hood gets to the outside. He's going to have a first down. He's bumped hard by his teammate Gio Biggers, but not before pick up a 12.
Another great run by the young running back, but hey, I got to give some love to Gio Biggers coming down and laying the boom. We like to call that laying the wood. Doing a great job from the safety spot.
Maye, little play action, finds his guy over the middle, and that is Kobe Paysour, the freshman. A few freshman wideouts. Paysour, J.J. Jones, Gavin Blackwell trying to make some headway here in the spring.
I'll tell you what, Matt, we're seeing the future develop right before our eyes. They talk so highly of these guys, specifically Kobe Paysour and J.J. Jones, the receivers, making big plays all spring long.
Paysour nearly had that touchdown grab to follow up his catch. That was a great look there from Maye.
Yeah, it was. And talk about a confident throw on the spray fade. Really put the ball in a position for him to come down and make the catch. Paysour might have just missed it with half an inch with his hands, but I think he'll come down with that next one if he gets another opportunity.
See if he gets another opportunity here. Here's Drake Maye.
Nice cut.
That's Elijah Green there with that cut, the redshirt freshman out of Roswell, Georgia.
Matt, what I'm noticing from all these running backs is patience. None of these guys are trying to hit the hole too soon, and especially when you have a gap scheme run and you have right guards and left guards pulling and they got to kick out the defensive linemen. They're all very, very patient, so when they see the hole open up, they hit it full speed and they keep their shoulder pads down and they run with some power.
Was Blackwell in motion. Maye, though, the handoff up the middle. That is Elijah Green across the 5 and down to the 3-yard line. Gain of 5.
Another great orchestrated drive by Drake Maye. Hopefully he can cap it off with either a field goal or a touchdown, but I think he's doing a great job of just taking what the defense is giving him. You saw that spray fade. It was a drop by Kobe Paysour, but I think overall Drake Maye looks really clean today.
Drake Maye, top 50 overall prospect in his recruiting class. In his first spring, probably going to be a false start there as he tried to hand the ball off to Hood.
Yeah, I hate it when this happened, Matt, because it's always on the quarterback. Anytime you have illegal procedures or bad snaps, it always comes back on the quarterback, and I'm sure Coach Longo is going to mention that to him when they get back to the film room, obviously right now because he's doing a great job. But, you just got to clean that up and just have a little bit more communication with your center.
His father, Mark, played quarterback at North Carolina, 1986 to 1987. Set some program records as well during his time at Chapel Hill. Now his son, oh boy.
Yep.
EJ, is that on the quarterback too? Is that another quarterback?
Well, you know, I don't think either one was on the quarterback. I just think when you get to the film room, your offensive coordinator, QB coach is going to put it on you. You know, you're the one that's starting to play and finishing it. And you actually saw the center there kind of turn around and clap his hands up at Drake May. So it could just be some miscommunications on when the snap count is happening. But, hey, he's a freshman, technically still should be in high school, Matt. So that's going to happen. And see if he tries to shove off 2 bad plays and try to make a good one.
It is 1st and goal. Here, it should be 1st and goal.
Yeah.
From the 9. May looking to the end zone. Well, maybe it is 4th down and 12. We'll see if they turn that one over. There's Blackwell. Blackwell they were looking for Gavin Blackwell, a freshman out of Sun Valley High School, former high school teammate of Sam Howell, who we will hear from coming up. We're going to chat with one of the best quarterbacks in all of college football, whose day might be done here in a wet, soggy Kenan Stadium. Welcome back to spring football presented by Geico. Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Matt Schick along with EJ Manuel on a wet, soggy, drizzly day, but not doing a lot to dampen the excitement around this program. Coming off an 8-win season and looking to challenge Clemson in that ACC race coming up this season. Take a look at Drake May. Had a couple of snap issues, false starts there, as we now going to look at Criswell with the handoff. What kind of challenges does that present? You've encountered those as well.
Yeah, I've definitely been in Sam's shoes as far as a starter, and I've been in Drake May and Jacoby's shoes, Criswell's, you know, as a backup, trying to kind of reach the expectation that you're given from the starting quarterback. As far as the 2 snap penalties or the 2 snap issues, you just got to clean that up. You know, you got to sit down and kind of slow things down with your center, talk to him and just say, hey, man, we're going to be fine. Let's move forward. You don't want one bad play to turn into 2.
It's British Brooks there on the carry, gain of 5. As Jacoby Criswell remains at quarterback.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see Criswell get a couple opportunities to throw the ball down the field, too, to just kind of get in a rhythm. I think when you get that first completion, Matt, that's usually how quarterbacks start to get hot.
Criswell with the handoff and stop behind the line of scrimmage. Bunch of guys in there on the act, including Power Eccles, who's living up to his first name. What a play by the freshman out of Charlotte.
There he is, Matt. And look, when we asked about Power Eccles, Coach Bateman lit up. This guy's a former 4-star athlete, number 2 inside linebacker per ESPN. He did a great job coming up, putting his helmet into the chin of the running back, stopping that play behind the line of scrimmage. And he is excited. I love it.
Rah-Rah Dilworth also showing some rah-rah there on that play. Let's welcome in Sam Howell, the quarterback for North Carolina. His day is done. Touchdown pass, couple of completions of longer than 40 yards, both Downs and Simmons. Well, Sam, how would you characterize your play there in the few series that you got? Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, definitely. I think we got off to a little bit of a slow start. You know, defense was making some good plays, but once we got settled in, we had some good plays. I thought the receivers did a good job, especially out here in the rain, man. They made some really good catches, so I'm overall pleased with how we performed today.
Sam, talk a little bit about what you worked on from year 1 to year 2 and now year 2 going into year 3. You know, when you go back and watch the film, I always try to say, hey, these 1 or 2 things I want to work on and perfect in the spring. So what are a few areas of emphasis for you this coming spring?
Yeah, this spring, I think the big thing for me was just trying to get these young guys along and I really kind of try to take all those guys under my wing and just try to spend as much time with those younger guys as I could and just try to develop those guys into players that can be able to play for us this fall. You know, everyone knows who we lost on the offensive side of the ball. You know, we lost two really good running backs, 2 really good receivers. So there's a lot of players going to step up and have big years this year. So just trying to develop those guys, develop chemistry, and really just try to take my leadership to the next level and try to really lead this team.
How would you assess the talent and potential of the guys being asked to fill those big shoes at those positions?
Yeah, I think we got a lot of guys that are going to have really good years. You guys saw Josh Downs today. He made some really good plays. I think he's going to have a really, really good year. He made some plays in the bowl game last year, so he's already got some experience. I think he's going to be a really good player for us. Antoine Green, who caught a fade down here in the end zone, I think he's going to be another really good player for us. We got Emory Simmons coming back. He made a really good jump ball catch over there. And then we got Bo Corrales, who people really haven't seen in a long time because of the injury last year. But we got a lot of guys that I think are going to have a really good year this year.
Sam, on the defensive side of the ball, you obviously go up against those guys each and every practice. Who has stood out to you this past spring?
Yeah, them defense guys look good. I think the first thing I noticed is the D-line. There's a lot of young guys playing over there, but they look good, man. I think our D-line is going to be the best it's been since I've been here. I think the DBs are really taking it to their next level. I think they haven't played great the past 2 years, and I think they kind of have a chip on their shoulder, and they came out with a lot of energy this spring. There's a lot of guys over there that's having really good springs, so I'm excited for our defense.
Sam, you've had really a record-breaking early career there at North Carolina, and now as the expectations go up for this program, there's a lot of hype surrounding you personally. You mentioned that there's people mention the word Heisman, #1 pick, all of these things. How do you deal with and handle the expectations that are placed on you going into this season?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say that really no one sets higher expectations for me than I do for myself. So that's kind of my mindset about all that stuff. I just try to do everything I can for this team and try to help our team win games, because if we don't win games, then none of that stuff is going to happen. So I just really try to give my team everything I have and just try to focus on my team, not really focus on myself. I think that stuff will kind of take care of itself if we have a good year. So that's kind of my mindset on all that.
And Sam,
congratulations. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to ask, how do you plan on just kind of getting your teammates' mindsets to stay locked in, man? Because obviously last year you guys were still the hunters, and I think this year you're going to be the hunted. I mean, everybody knows you're going to be really good. You're coming back. So how do you get your teammates to lock in and make sure they stay humble out there?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it all the time. We're at a point now with our program where we're going to get everybody's best. The past 2 years probably hasn't been like that. We didn't really have a whole lot of respect nationally and in our conference. So I think, like you guys said, we are the hunted now. We just got to be able to be consistent and know that every single game, no matter who we're playing, we're going to get their best shot. So, I think we had a couple games last year where we slipped up and let some teams that we were better than beat us. So I think we got to make sure we just stay consistent and keep our process the same every single week, and I think we'll have a chance.
Sorry we made you hang out in the rain without a jacket for the last few minutes, but thanks for spending some time with us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys.
Sam.
Yeah.
Sam Howell, the best in college football and the man that's going to lead this North Carolina offense next season. I mentioned the 68 passing touchdowns over the first 2 years, the most through his sophomore year in ACC history. And we talked to Mack Brown, EJ, before the game, and earlier this week he said, look, I expect him to have a good season. If he does, I expect him to leave, and I expect him to be potentially the #1 pick. It's really a fascinating look at the transparency and the honesty between a coach and a player, saying, I hope you're not here, essentially, because that means we had a good year.
Yeah, Matt, most coaches, they don't want their star guy to start thinking about the draft, especially before the season. But look, everyone knows this guy's going to be a top quarterback, whether he decides to come out his junior year or his senior year. The thing that stands out the most to me, outside of the accuracy, outside of the arm strength, the ad-lib ability when he breaks the pocket, is his mentality. It's his maturity. When you have a chance, even the way he answered these questions today, he's just such a calm guy. Never seems like he's rattled. Just does a great job overall, and what a great leader for this program.
Media savvy, too. I asked him a question. He began his answer with, that's a good question. He made me feel good.
Made
I
you
like
feel
him even
good.
more.
There we go.
Yeah, that's really what this
I didn't
is
get
all
that,
about.
so I got to keep working. Back to the drawing board.
As we hear and wait on the flag here, one thing about that is Phil Longo said they are working on next season, but they also spend some time on NFL preparation with Sam Howell. I imagine that's something that wasn't foreign to you, but I listened to that. I said, well, how does that help you and this team if you're focused on the NFL with him? I thought his answer was pretty good.
Yeah, and look, when I heard Coach Longo say that, man, I was like, if I had a son, I would start thinking about trying to get him to go to Carolina, just because when coaches understand that, hey, the main goal for a lot of these kids, of course, is to get their, their degree and whatever they're studying, but these guys want to go and play at the highest level in the NFL. So what better way than, just to prepare your guy, not just for what they have this coming season in his junior year, but also give them opportunities to work toward an NFL career. And then also, I think it puts the onus on the young quarterbacks, Jacoby Criswell and Boaz and even Drake May. It kind of sets the tone for what the expectation is in the quarterback room at Carolina.
Yeah, I like what Phil Longo said. So we're going to do whatever we can to help these guys beyond our program as Drake May picks up a gain of 11 on the run and the slide. And just saying, I feel as much as their coach after they leave as I do when they're here. So he's been to a bunch of quarterback weddings, guys that he coached, Phil Longo has, and families come back. And it's not just about worrying about how North Carolina does this year. It's about how these guys do when they are done. That's a big reason why they're here. Drake May a little underthrown there, but we're going to have a flag in the end zone. That flag on Obi Igbuna.
Yeah, and actually, thinking of this play, Coach Bowden, long-time great coach, used to always tell us in the quarterback room, hey, look, if you don't overthrow a receiver, if anything, underthrow him, because then you get this. You get a pass interference call, and now we possibly get the ball at least 10 yards ahead. I think in the NFL they would have marked that thing on the goal line, but nonetheless, hey, great job by Drake May, at least giving the receiver an opportunity to go up and try to make a catch.
J.J. Jones was the intended receiver. They will move that to the 19. Drake May continues to push the ball down the field. British Brooks to his left. Brooks does get the handoff, finds a gaping hole.
Yeah.
And nearing the 10-yard line. That offensive line, again, continuing to do work, gain of 7.
I'm telling you, man, look, anytime you see Big 51 Wyatt Tunnel coming across on a kick-out block, but he has nobody to block, and that's a good thing because that means there's no one there. Running back does a great job. British Brooks putting his foot in the ground, getting as much as he can before he gets tackled.
Here's a look at Wyatt Tunal, a sophomore at Chester High School in Chester, South Carolina. Blackwell in motion. May pulls it. Now he's going to tuck it, and he would have gotten hit in a real game. That's coming up to make the play was Ra Dilworth. Again, Ra Dilworth. One of those guys that you're going to have to pay attention to. Inside linebacker position. That position does a lot here in this program, and they are going to find ways to get him on the field this year as a freshman.
Yeah, man, he actually reminds me a lot of Telvin Smith, a young Telvin Smith. Look how lean he is, a guy that can run sideline to sideline, and just a vicious tackler. Obviously right there off the RPO scheme, scrapes off and comes and makes a tackle, or what would have been a tackle on Drake May.
Rucker on the tackle there, the sophomore. 21 tackles last year, 3 TFLs, started 1 game, played in 10, and again, another look at Dilworth. So much young talent here. We'll talk recruiting here in a little bit, but these early enrollees, these guys who come out of high school and can really step in and play some sort of role with this North Carolina team. Some have to shed some weight, get in a little better shape, learn some positions, but certainly can't question the talent. Here's May out in the flat to Brooks. Finds his way down to the 10.
Yeah. And I'm just so impressed with the young guys, the guys that are early enrollees. I didn't get a chance to leave college, or leave high school early to try to enroll, but I can only imagine the pressure. You're still technically a high school senior in age, but you're out there playing with grown men. Your body's not necessarily all the way developed, but these guys are certainly holding their own, doing a great job.
How can you tell it's a spring game? That was 4th down, and I never mentioned it. We'll collect the Emmy as we go out the door. Turnover on downs. Mack Brown, everyone staying dry, trying to. Tuesday night, The Huddle featured. It looks back at some of the best and most memorable stories that have made the soon-to-be ACC NFL draftees so successful on and off the field. 9:30 Eastern right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app. Certainly not Chamber of Commerce weather in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I live in Charlotte. We've had no rain for like 2.5 weeks, and of course it rains today on the spring game for North Carolina as we take a look at some of the future of the Tar Heels for 2021. Here's Elijah Green on the outside for a gain of 5. 14-6 Tar Heels over Carolina. So we enter the 4th quarter, and we mentioned there's a dozen early enrollees. Look at some of these names. Keyshawn Silver is going to be a guy to make mention of. Ra Dilworth. We saw Power Eccles make some hay here as well. One of the things that Mack Brown said, don't try to, these early enrollees, he said, don't try to earn a job here in this spring game or in this spring season. Just try to figure out how to go to college and be a college student here, and then we'll figure it out as we go on.
Yeah, and what Coach Brown is doing, man, he's building a program. You know, he doesn't need these guys to necessarily be starters right now as, you know, when the fall comes up. You know, again, a lot of these dudes are still supposed to be high school seniors. So what better way when you hear your head man say, hey, man, just relax, have fun, learn how to practice, learn how to take care of your body, learn how to go to the training table, learn how to go to tutoring, like all those small things that a lot of these student athletes have to deal with and have to become accustomed to.
And you saw some of those names in the stars, 5 stars, 4 stars, some 3 stars. The recruiting profile has been raised under Mack Brown. Back-to-back top 20 classes, had a number 12 incoming class here for 2021. The top 13 rated recruits in this class are all from the state of North Carolina. As Drake May on the keeper, check that. That is Jefferson Boaz down the near side, fooled everybody for a gain of 38 and the touchdown. The redshirt freshman running it in for 6.
Did a great job selling the fake, riding the fake all the way down, and obviously having, well, I don't know, Matt, that might have been a touchdown. Technically, you can't hit the quarterback, but nonetheless, Jefferson did a great job of taking that one home. And Coach loved this guy, 6'6 and a half, 245, probably the biggest guy in the group. And as long as he continues to fall in, I'm certainly he'll have an opportunity at some point when Sam moves on.
Multi-sport athlete at East Surrey High School, Pilot Mountain, North Carolina. Played basketball, baseball, was a pitcher, played first base, averaged a double-double on the hardwood in basketball. High school senior in football, completed 74% of his passes, 4,600 yards, 65 touchdowns, 6 picks. I mean, it was the Boaz show.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. And again, Matt, you just talk about these young guys. Boaz, he's a redshirt freshman. Drake May, a true freshman, an early enrollee. There's so many guys. And you look at the future of this Carolina football team, really what Coach Brown and his staff have built here. And also, I just want to hit on Keyshawn Silver and Javari Ritzie. When you see single down.
They call him the General, and he's spending some time here with us. Jeremiah, thanks for spending some time with us. And what do you see from this defense here in the spring?
I mean, what I've been seeing since the beginning of the spring, I mean, the young guys are just flying around. I mean, they know sometimes, I mean, with the learning curve with Coach Bateman, we got a lot of multiple plays that we call, and there's a lot of things they have to learn along spring. And sometimes, usually with freshmen, you see them jogging around, and maybe they're not getting to the ball too quick. But that's nothing that I've seen all spring with either Ritzie, Keyshawn. There's been Power, Harara, I mean, Boykins. I mean, all the freshmen have been flying around making plays all spring.
Jeremiah, you've been there now for 4 years. You've obviously had the rough seasons before Coach Brown got there, and obviously things have gotten progressively better. How has the program changed since Coach Brown and his staff have taken over?
I mean, I think it's just the atmosphere in the weight room with Coach Hez, him coming in, the atmosphere at practice, and the atmosphere of the locker room. I mean, all the guys love each other. All the guys compete. We know when we go to the game field and we go to practice, we're going to be competitive. We're going to be chippy. But, I mean, when we come to the locker room, we love one another. And, I mean, I think that's the biggest difference that I've seen when Coach Mack Brown's staff coming in.
We were talking to your defensive coordinator, Jay Bateman, and he mentioned something that you did and the attitude you had after the loss in the Orange Bowl. When they came in, they saw that they wondered how the team would be. And you were talking to the team about how unacceptable it was with how the team played. Can you walk us through what your emotions were after that game and why it was so important to stress to the team that that was unacceptable?
Well, for me, I mean, after the game, with everything I've seen, I mean, I saw guys were flying around making plays, and I mean, you saw, everybody in the nation saw we were right there neck and neck with Texas A&M. And everybody said before the game we didn't have a shot. There was no chance we were going to be able to win. But when I came back in the locker room, that's when I sat down before we break the huddle. I saw guys sad. I saw guys upset. But I wanted them to let them know that that wasn't a negative loss that we have. I mean, yeah, we still lost the game, but I've seen things out there on the field that nobody in the country thought we were going to be able to do. The running backs were running hard. The guy, Eugene Usante, didn't start one game in his entire career, and we went out there for the Orange Bowl and played his butt off. I mean that's some of the stuff I brought in the locker room. I didn't want the guys to go home with a sad hanging their head. I had to let them go with a positive mindset for next season.
And Jeremiah, just hearing you talk about that, man, that's the leadership of a champion. So, William, keep that thing rolling, man. But what's your expectation of this defense moving forward now that you guys are basically in year 3 of Coach Brown's era?
Well, my expectations for me, I want to be the #1 defense in the ACC, and after we accomplish that, I want to be the best defense in the country. I mean, I think we have all the tools. We have all the parts coming back. I mean, we lost Chaz Surratt, but with Eugene coming in and playing so well in that role, I think we just gained depth in all the other positions, at cornerback, at defensive line, at our safeties. I think we just improved all around from last year.
Jeremiah Gemmel didn't play today. Does it bother you not playing today? I mean, you're a competitor. Is it tough to watch?
I mean, it's tough to watch, but at the same time, I'm so into the spring game. I mean, I love cheering the guys on. I have no problem being out there cheering the guys on.
Well, we're looking forward to actually watching you play again in the fall. Thanks for doing this. We appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.
Thanks, Jeremiah.
See you.
It's Jeremiah Gemmel, leading returning tackler, more than 2,000 snaps. They said, look, we're not going to play guys with 2,000 snaps here in this game. There's no reason to do it, as we see Will Crowley there on the reception, gain of 5.
Yeah, and just to hit on Gemmel, Matt, when you turn the tape on and watch this defense, he sets the tone. He's the heartbeat of what that Jay Bateman defense is going to look like. So it's a great opportunity, and also just great to hear him talk about that leadership aspect. That's how you create champions. I know when I was at Florida State, we had guys, like I said, Telvin Smith, Christian Jones, guys that spoke up, Lamarcus Joyner, that just spoke up and kind of set the identity for our team, not just our defense. So it's great to have him coming back for his senior year.
Yeah, Jay Bateman saying there's everything you want in a football player. It's Jeremiah Gemmel, the name to remember again in his final season with North Carolina, going deep to the end zone, and that is nearly intercepted by Val Edwards, the sophomore out of Raleigh, North Carolina. They're in to make that play.
you see the coaches on the sideline giving Val some hard times, because I guarantee you when they get to the film room, you're going to say, man, how do you drop a pick? But look, Boaz got to get that ball out there. It's a little short, and I know I talked about it earlier as far as a receiver coming back forward, but you got to give a guy an opportunity, because you're technically throwing in double coverage right there. But Val Edwards, you got to come down with the pick, man. Got to catch the money, man. Got to catch the money.
Intended for Landon Stevens, who's a high school teammate of Boaz. So trying to hook up there. Here's Caleb Hood and the defensive front, making its presence known late in this spring game. No gain.
Yeah, and the defense doing a great job of attacking at the line of scrimmage. Obviously, Jake Harkleworld. And actually, Coach Bateman talked about him yesterday. A walk-on linebacker, a tough-nosed dude, kind of the centerpiece for that second or third unit, doing a great job out here and the opportunities that he's getting.
Jefferson Boaz feeling some heat, gets that one out. That one's incomplete, and there will be a flag on the play. We'll take a quick break here and come back with more of the spring game here straight ahead after this call. All right, as the series continues, after this series, we'll take a quick timeout. Tar Heels with a 2-point lead over Carolina. It's a weird sentence to say. It is a spring game. Matt Schick along with E.J. Manuel as we take a look at Mack Brown, who just love one of the conversations we had with him about expectations for this program. Says, I want people being mad when we lose. That means we're doing something right. Boaz overthrows his intended receiver. He was looking for Jeffrey Saturday. If the name sounds familiar, yes, it is the son of Jeff Saturday at ESPN.
Yeah, and Jefferson did a great job of handling a bad snap right there and getting that ball up and giving Jeffrey Saturday an opportunity to go out for a catch, as you see him lay out there, selling all out for the touchdown pass, possible touchdown pass in the spring game, Matt. Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Look at that hair. Look at that hair. You can't even put half of that inside the helmet. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and these are vital reps for these young guys. I mean, granted, some of these guys are walk-ons, some of these guys are freshmen, but again, just invaluable opportunities for them to learn and make mistakes, because this is the film that you want to show these guys in the next 2 months before the summer practices come around.
Getting back to the expectations conversation with Mack Brown, he said, yeah, my wife Sally said, Mack, you screwed up again. You got everybody excited, and now people are getting mad when you lose. You just had to do that, didn't you? 'Cause he's been in places before where that has happened. You raised the bar, but he said, look, I want people being mad. If people are mad when we lose to Florida State, that's a good thing.
Right.
That means we're getting closer.
Yeah, exactly. And look, Coach Brown talked about the principles that he want his team to be about, and just graduating guys, making sure that guys understand the right way to play the game, communicating with his players, the trust and the respect, common purpose. Great interception right there. Great interception right there.
Christopher
Holiday.
Who he's the son of Corey Holiday, who's the assistant athletic director of football operations. And Christopher makes the pick. Perfect ACT score, 1570 on his SAT, and holding up the belt.
Yeah, and honestly, Matt, that was a great pick. I mean, pretty much caught that thing like a receiver over the shoulder. A great way to cap off what I think is a really, really good last scrimmage, last spring game as these guys looks like everybody's healthy moving forward into summer camp.
Mack Brown, there's the smile. Everybody's healthy. Everybody wins. Even in weather like this, we'll put a bow on the North Carolina spring. Coming up. The spring season is over for North Carolina. The rain would indicate that there will be better days ahead. The Tar Heels in North Carolina squaring off in this spring game, 14-12. Your final, but the most important thing, EJ Manuel, I'm Matt Schick, is that they're all healthy. Didn't see any injuries today. And we did see some flashes of what we could see in 2021 coming up in the fall, specifically with Sam Howell.
Yeah, we definitely did, Matt. Sam was clean today. Obviously, like he said, he had a kind of a slow start, but once he got that ball going down the field, some of those receivers going up, making big catches, Josh Downs, pretty much picking up where he left off from that game versus Texas A&M last year. So these guys look really good, and the biggest thing is everybody's healthy moving into the summertime.
Mentioned Sam Howell, 30 touchdown passes last C8 over his first 2 years. Year 3 could be very special. He's got plenty of weapons, too.
Yeah, he certainly does. And again, you just see Sam negotiating the safety with his eyes, looking left, coming back to the right for Josh Downs, diving a big catch for a big gain. But now Antoine Green, again, another guy that can step up, also along with Emory Simmons. I thought these 3 guys all played exceptionally well. And you didn't even have Bo Corrales or Shoffrey Brown, who are also going to be contenders. But that defense, I think, did an excellent job getting after the quarterback. You're going to see Evans come up with the early sack, another young player, only a sophomore. And then again, you see the linebackers firing in, making plays. And again, that's what Jay Bateman wants to do. He wants to solve his problems with pressure. And we asked him that in the production meeting yesterday. Asante, a young guy that's also going to be a big-time playmaker. So I'm excited, and I think what you saw from this team is a full-blast team. And again, guys that were taking care of each other. Nobody was chippy. Nobody was trying to hurt anybody. They did a great job today, especially with the inclement weather.
5 sacks and an INT for that defense here at Kenan Stadium. They'll kick it off in September at Virginia Tech. For producer Lauren George, thanks a lot for Sports Information Director Jeremy Sharp as well.